Alright, this video is going to be on a Lee Sin jungle, Plat 5 Elo. And some things to note. Okay, as a jungler, you have to be looking at matchups. So we're going to look at the matchups right now while we're waiting for the game to start. And okay, bot lane, Vayne, Tom versus Morgana, Ezreal. So Morgana's naturally kind of just push lane. So that's something you can be aware of. Ezreal's hard to gank, so this is probably a lane you don't want to focus a lot of time on because Ezreal and Morgana in combination, they're really hard to gank unless they're extremely overextended. So pretty much, you can't come gank them if they're up here basically, unless you're waiting in a bush for them to engage, stuff like that. Top lane, let's look at the matchup. Tom versus Shen. That's pretty even lane, except top lane you can get ganks pretty easily because Tom does percentage damage and you can easily apply the 3 stacks to Shen. So that's probably going to be the easiest lane to gank in this game. And mid lane, what is the mid lane? It looks like a mid Aatrox into a Fizz. At level 6, when Fizz is level 6, that lane is extremely easy for you to gank. So we have 2 lanes right here that are pretty decently easy to gank, which means bot lane's going to be pretty hard. And Lulu, like her CC isn't that great. She has a slow, but that doesn't help you land your Q because they just flash it or Ezreal E or whatever. So bot lane's probably the least promising lane here. Alright. They're doing a really long leash on that blue. Okay, and when they run down this way, look, right now you can be looking for, oh, it looks like she's invading you. Okay, this is something you need to be aware of though. Cause look, where's Morgana? She's not there. We saw Ezreal walk down here, so you just assume he was leeching Gromp because he walked from this way. We don't have vision of Morgana still. And there's no wards here. So you have to immediately place a ward right here in reaction to this situation. This is a situation where you have to play a little bit reactively and ward right here because it's a possibility that she's going to be invading you here. So you had about 10 seconds to figure that out. Let's watch this. Okay, so the ward expired and she probably walked into this bush just as the ward expired. But look, okay, we're going to look at when Ezreal gets in the lane. Okay, Ezreal's in lane. Okay, maybe Morgana's right behind him. No, still no. And he's not there. So right now, you should have already warded that. Okay, you did check that, but you face checked it, and you didn't ward it. So now you're going to have to burn flash. Or you didn't even burn flash, actually. So, you just died for free there. Although you most likely would have died had you burned flash since the Nidalee was right there. But that was just the case where you have to back off because Nidalee can be there as well. You don't know where Nidalee is, so Nidalee could be right there as well. Generally, they're going to want to invade together. If the support's invading, that you have to assume the jungler's going to be there because you don't have vision of the jungler. So that's just the case where you need to be thinking of stuff like that, and you need to be watching them. As a jungler, it's very important. Like every game, it's very important to be checking how the laners enter their lane. Sometimes they'll fake it and they'll fake leash, but that's all part of the mind game. So you have to be checking where the laners are, and that was a pretty obvious case that the Morgana was invading you, especially since you're against the Nidalee, and Nidalees are known to invade early. So let's see what you do. Okay, see, you're wasting time here. There's no reason to go here. Your red is gone 100%. That you shouldn't even be checking that. You just have to know that it's gone. Obviously, they're gonna take it, and you did see Nidalee right here, just as you dived to that auto. You would have seen Nidalee if you were looking there, and if you had pressed tab, you would have been able to see her level update, which means that she was also visible there. So you had 2 ways of knowing Nidalee was there. See right here, your blue buff you could have been done with your blue buff already. Could have done your wolves. You could have smited your wolves so that Nidalee couldn't invade you at blue. Because a really good jungler, a really good Nidalee might end up coming to your blue straight after. If you make the mistake of not, if she did come and you didn't smite wolves, she just can do whatever she wants. She can jump over any wall. She has all the movement speed from all these bushes, and she still has flash available. So that's something that you should have immediately done. The race right here was a complete waste of time. You lost so much time walking over here, and and that time loss is really, really important, especially to jungle Lee Sin. Early game junglers have very little room for error because that's pretty much their only use early and mid game, and then as soon as they drop out of that phase of the game, you're just gonna get outscaled. Look at that, Nidalee she did a full clear at around 4 minutes. That's pretty slow for Nidalee, honestly. Usually Nidalees can do a full clear at around 3 minutes, but she didn't Vage, so that did slow her down. See, right here is when you need to be covering mid. This scuttle, you should have dragged that scuttle down towards the bot lane, and you should have been mid, because there was no reason to do scuttle in this situation. As soon as you saw that his lane was pushing and Fizz was low, you should have stopped doing the scuttle and just came mid. And like sometimes they're not gonna dive because they're gonna suspect the jungler to beat or whatever. But in this case, he did dive, and that was 100% free kill for you had you stopped doing the scuttle there. So. Okay, we know Nidalee's bot, so what are you doing? Why are you going bot? You can't do anything. Okay, you can do. They're low, that's a good, okay. Ooh. The Nidalee was already dead, man. Okay, that was good. Nice top play. Okay, now you need to be shoving this lane hard. Right there, that's a huge mistake. You should have shoved the lane out. Vayne's not getting any of this CS. You're not helping her at all by not pushing this lane. If you push this lane, these minions would have been at the turret, and these minions and the enemy red side, their lane would have slow pushed towards blue side if the bot lane had froze it correctly. So right there is you gotta know laning mechanics like that if you're gonna try and improve at jungling, because that's important to know when to push a lane, when to freeze it, when to hold the minions for the laner. Like if the laner's walking into lane and there's like a 6 minions right here, you would want to hold the minions in front of the turret if you can, if it's safe. If it's not safe, then don't do it. But if it's safe and there's nowhere else to be, then it's free. You can just hold the minions there, and this we're gonna go back to this, because just to apply my point. Okay, you got the kills. Now what you have to do, you just take a quick glance at your map. You look at where the minions are. You see where your minions are. Your minions are already arriving. Okay, your minions are arriving, which means their minions are right here. And what that means is, since these minions are already fighting here, these minions are going to come up to here, clump up, and this lane, since it's closer to your side, it's closer to blue turret, this lane is going to slow push towards them, which is denying Vayne all the CS and giving the enemy bot lane a huge advantage, because they're gonna be at the turret if you don't shove this lane. They will both be at this turret to soak all of this XP from all these minions right here, all the XP and all the gold if you don't shove this lane, and which is exactly what happened. Vayne got denied all the CS, and in exchange they got the Morgana and the Ezreal, which are dead for 16 seconds right now. They got all this CS, which is really, really bad for your bot lane, for your Vayne and Tom. This is a huge turnaround in the lane for him. You got that double kill, and that was nice. Vayne, look what Vayne did. I believe she died and got a 1-for-1 or something like that. But that would have been fine had you shoved the lane here. So just keep that in mind. This right here was a huge thing that turned the game for bot lane a lot. See, and in case like that, you don't really it's more important to just keep autoing the minions for DPS rather than stopping your autos for last hits. You want to last hit as good as possible, but in this situation, your priority is just shoving the lane out. Because look, this lane could have been already walking right about. It would have already been walking down over here, and it would have hit the turret before these minions could get there. If you had just shoved the lane out. So we're gonna look. They missed 2 minion waves from that. They get this one, but look how many minions that Ezreal and Morgana get. They get 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, that's good. Right here, this is good. You see the Aatrox is overextended. Although Fizz right here, he did not follow up to the gank. He was CSing instead. He should have, when he saw you right here. This is this is a case where you tried to gank, but look where Aatrox is. Okay, he could have Q'd through the minion right there and gone onto Aatrox. That's what he should have done. Q'd the minion for the gap close, autoed Aatrox, and E'd. But you tried. So. And right here, what are you doing? Why are you going top? Why are you going top right now? There's no reason to go top. Look, you could have just gone mid, gave him the game, secured the kill, and given Fizz this or gotten the assist for yourself. But there's no reason to go top there. Because what are you gonna do? I mean, there's a Shen right there. Shen has ult. If you try to go on Italy, Shen's gonna ult. You're just gonna die for free. That's, that's obvious. And if you had just gone mid and helped Fizz and then shoved a lane, he wouldn't have died right there. Just like you going here, what is this doing? Absolutely nothing. And once again, you are slow pushing the lane towards Shen. You're denying Tom all the CS, and you're gonna give Shen all the CS. So that's already 2 lanes that you've done this same thing to. And it doesn't seem, maybe it doesn't seem like a big deal, but every CS adds up. So. And Shen, look, what Shen can do right now is he can freeze the lane, and you can't ever gank the Shen. So that's already a lane you can't gank because you didn't shove the lane out. If you had shoved the lane, all these minions would have been on his turret, he would have had TP, and he would have, the lane would have slow pushed towards Tom, if he allowed it to do so, which means that's a lane you could gank. Right now, you put Tom in a bad position because he has to see us up here. If Nidalee up here, that's a free gank. Look, he has no flash, he has no wards, and he's shoved up to turret. And that's the position you put him then, by allowing that lane to slow push towards Shen. And you gotta look where your team is. Look, where's your team? Okay, you gotta think of this like a little mini strategy game, like a civilization game or whatever, something like that. So where is your team? Okay, you got Vayne all the way down here. She's not going to be in this fight. If you queue in right now, she is not in this fight. She's going to take so long. She's going to take way too long to be in this fight. Where's Fizz? Fizz is over here. He looks like he's about to walk down. Aatrox is here as well though. So at best it's a 3v3. So if it's a 3v3, you have to either find a way to eliminate, like you're all split up though. Look, they're grouped right here, and then you guys are all 3 in a line across half the fucking river. So what is this queue? Right? What is this right here? What is it? What is this? You're just dead. You used your escape. You don't have flash, and you used your escape to put yourself in the behind the look. You're in a complete fucking choke point right here. Lulu's level 4. She's not level 6. She can't do anything for you. She can put you a what, a 60 damage shield, and she can put you a 100 damage shield. That's not going to do anything. So you're just dead here. You used your ward jump to insect her, and you're just going to die. You died for free. Let's see, Vayne's hasn't been in the fight yet. She's way behind. Let's see if this turns. Okay, this did turn out good. But you still made a mistake and you died for free. Because basically what you did, you put the game in your team's hands right there. And if you're trying to, carry and solo queue, like this isn't, high elo. This isn't Challenger where it's okay to do stuff like that because you can trust your team more to do things like that. This is where you have to play in a kind of selfish manner, in my opinion, especially as the jungle, if you're trying to carry low elo games. So that worked out, but that still wasn't an optimal play. You got pretty lucky there. Also, Morgana could have just, shielded the Nidalee there, and that wouldn't have been, you just would have died for free. They probably would have won that fight if she had played that better. So mid lane, like I said, mid lane is the lane to gank. You could be camping mid easily. He has no passive, and he's overextended. Right there, I personally would have just chosen a gank instead of doing red, because in my opinion, ganks are much more valuable than buffs. It's okay. It's important to get your buffs on timer, but getting ganks off is more important. And you're wandering. You're just wandering. You're not going to get a gank from this angle because Aatrox, unless Fizz, queues up and he gets his ult off. But that once again you have to rely on him to do that, and that's not something you want to be doing in this slow of an elo. Okay, did you have vision of that Nidalee? You did. Didn't you? Oh no, you didn't. That was their scuttle. Okay. So you didn't have vision of her. Let's see. So right here, this is the second time you're doing a buff instead of ganking. And Lee Sin and Fizz, 2v2, you win. You win 2v2 versus Nidalee and Aatrox, so you don't have to worry about being counter ganked because you guys win. So this is not a game where you should be playing scared. You're doing pretty decent. You have 2 deaths, but at the same time, you're still in a position to where you can kill Nidalee if you get the jump on her, believe it or not. Because Lee Sin does a lot of damage once he gets his ult, especially on a squishy like Nidalee. So this is the second time you were at a buff instead of being mid. The first time, let's say you had seen your opportunity earlier. You were the first time and you were at red. If you had seen the opportunity, you would have been able to wrap around here. You would have been come up. Look, you have a pink ward too here. You already know they're not going to see you there. You would have been a wrap around, just come in here, and Fizz would be able to initiate as you were walking up and just go in. That's free. He doesn't have passive. It's either a flash or it's free. And once his flash is down, he's not going to be pushed up all the way over here. That's the thing. If he's pushed up all the way over here without flash, you know that his jungle is nearby. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. So that's more information you can use. And it most likely would have resulted in a kill anyway, if you had ganked it instead of doing red there, since Lee Sin and Fizz have high mobility. Okay, good. You're shoving this lane out. That's good, because there's nothing else to do here. Dragon, the Dragon's not a high enough a priority objective to suicide steal as Lee Sin anymore. And you should have kept shoving. There's no reason here. You have a ward. If you have ward dump available, there's no threat at all right here. It's not a big deal there. Like, this isn't a big deal, but it's just a small little thing of knowing where the enemy is, because you know that they're all right here. You know you have a ward jump. You can just ward jump up, and since Shen is there, there's no threat at all. You can just walk away. So. Let's see how much gold you have. Alright, you should have backed already. There's no point. Right here, this is bad, because Nidalee, like, you wasted 2 wards. You wasted a ward there. Like, I understand. Like, that just to get her wraith count. That's just a waste right there. Because Nidalee, if Nidalee could have backed after Dragon, you had no vision of her. She could have just instantly backed and headed over to this side of the jungle again. So, that was pretty risky. But you did get the counter jungle off, so that's good, and you did deny her, so that did turn out to your favor. That was a risky play. Okay. So see, if you had backed earlier though, instead of just counter jungling that, if you had backed earlier and gotten your power spike of warrior, you might have been able to be bop there, because you kind of wasted a lot of time there, even though you didn't get the counter gang off, or the counter jungle off. So you're behind in XP now. Look, she's level 10 and you're level 8. If you had just shoved those lanes out, you'd be level 9 right now, possibly level close to level 10. And there's nothing you can do there, so that's definitely not your fault. In that case, it was just really Tom not communicating well that Shen was Mia, and he didn't have TP up, so. So yeah, there was definitely nothing you could do there. But you did take out Aatrox's passive, so you did make something out of it. But see, okay, so basically why you're losing this game at this point is because you're not pressuring at all. You're down in XP. You would have been able to make up for that XP had you just shoved the lanes out correctly. That shoving the lanes out, you did it 2 or 3 times in this game I saw, where you did huge errors in not shoving out the lane, so you lost XP, you gave them XP, and you took away your team's XP. Notice how your whole team is down in XP? Part of that is due to, just being behind in gold and in farm, but also part of that is because you weren't correctly using minion manipulation to be able to shove out the lanes, freeze them, and get them to slow push correctly. So that's kind of why you're behind right now. Nidalee's out pressuring you by a lot. You can see, by her score, she's contributed a lot to the game. She's contributed more to the game than any of her team. And you're just being out pressured because you're farming and doing inefficient things while she's being very efficient with her time. She pretty much has always ganked with a secured kill. She hasn't really walked into any lane so far without it being a kill. I believe you've only ganked 2 or 3 times as a Lee Sin jungle. That's not something you should be doing. All this is because all the little tiny mistakes that you made are basically something you definitely could have carried this game. Your lanes aren't so behind that this is unavoidable. You definitely could have carried this game if you had just fixed these mistakes. If you had just not made them, I mean. Because your lanes are they're not far behind compared. If they're if they're all 0-5 or whatever, so there's some games that are just unwinnable, But this is not one of those unwinnable games at all. So I don't think the rest of this game is honestly very important because they're 8,000 gold ahead at 15 minutes, and it's gonna be it's really hard to come back at this point. So I just want to highlight. I want to go back and highlight why you lost this game again, because now that I've seen your decisions and how you decided to go, I'm gonna highlight the key points to why you lost this. Okay, so number 1, not checking lanes, not checking presence of lanes. You didn't have very long to react here. You only had a good 5 to 7 seconds to react. And your ward, I believe your ward is up. Your ward is up, unless I don't think that's a spectator bug. But your ward is up, and you didn't ward this against a Nidalee and a Morgana that's not in lane. So you died for free there. You didn't flash the wall. You could have walked over here, flashed the wall, and Morgana most likely would not have been able to get that kill. She had already flashed too to get that. Yeah, if you had just walked over and flashed the wall, you would have lived for free. Because you don't want to run this way because you don't know where Nidalee is. Nidalee could be right there. You would want to be running this way because for 100% that there's no one's going to be there. Because Nidalee's not going to path around here through dry bush and walk all the way down, so there's no one's going to be here. And then I missed it, but your second key error right here that led to you being inefficient and Nidalee getting an XP advantage and a gold advantage on you, which is important in the jungle. You don't want to fall behind when you're both early game junglers. So it's obvious that she took your red. It's obvious. You shouldn't. That's a huge waste of time. You wasted, I don't even know, maybe 20, 30 seconds, possibly more, doing Wraith there. You should have just gone to your blue, because blue gives, well, they give around the same experience, but blue buffs, you know, it's a buff. It gives CDR, and it's important to deny from the enemy. And you want it up so your mid laner can get it earlier. So right here, look, what are you doing here? Why'd you do Gromp there? What you did there is you farmed instead of ganking when you did Gromp. Gromp takes away a lot of your HP early game, and unless you're planning on doing a full clear for a level 4 and then instantly recalling, you shouldn't really be doing Gromp. Because Gromp you just take too much damage from doing Gromp. You don't want to be doing that early game, because that pretty much, like, now you can't gank. Because you don't know that Nidalee's low or whatever, but you have to assume, like, if you have no vision of them, you have to assume that they're healthy. You know, you can't make assumptions that put you in risk. So you have to assume that she's higher health than you at all times, and which means now you can't really gank, because now you're also in a position to where the person you're ganking can kill you. So you can't, like, this puts you in a place where you can't even gank anymore as Lee Sin. That's awful. You don't want to be ever put in that situation as an early game pressuring jungle. Like that scuttle right there. That's the second time. You had 2 chances to gank mid there. Okay, let's watch. Okay, you're doing blue buff. You know, he's been here. This guy has been in this position in the lane with no wards for a good 30 seconds at this point. And right there, you're walking over to Gromp. You could have just ward jumped over this wall and walked into the lane. If you like this on this gank up at this point, if you're able to get this gank off, it's just a matter of mechanics. Like if he's gonna either sidestep your Q away from your Q, or flash your Q, or you at least burn his flash. But at this point, you know, if you do make this gank, you should be making the decision to make this gank, but the gank itself is just up to your mechanics. And look, he's been there for almost a minute at this point. Right now, you're doing Scuttle for no reason. You see Fizz recalling. You see he wants to recall. All these minions are free. You can just walk up and take the XP. He just dived, and you 100% would have got this kill, or prevented Fizz's death if you were there. And I don't know why you didn't try to get that kill there, honestly. I don't know why you didn't try to go there. So you have, maybe you don't have a ward to jump to. Okay, you don't have a ward to jump to, but you have flash. So you really should have just walked up and just at least forced his flash, because he didn't even have flash. That was a free kill if you just walked past the minions. At best, if he did have flash, you would have forced his flash, but he didn't have flash, so you would have got a kill there. So that's already 3 things, I believe. That's 3 huge key points that change the outcome of this game. Right there, you wasted your Q. You wasted time. This is a slight waste of time because of that Q miss there, and that was good. That got you the double kill. But right here, huge mistake. Look at all that time you're spending not autoing. Okay, now let's watch how. Look, you're not autoing at all. You need to be, your prioritization right here is shoving the lane. Who gives a shit about last hits? You have other sources of income as a jungler, and your laners aren't getting any of this anyway. So you're only, like, what is that? This should be obvious too. This is an obvious case of laning mechanics and lane pushing. That's obviously going to push towards them in a situation where it's going to freeze it for them. So that's bad. Vayne just lost, and she already lost this wave. That was guaranteed. But you put the lane in a bad position, so Ezreal gets all this for free, and you're not gonna be able to gank this lane at all because they're gonna be on this side of the map for a very long time before they get the wave shoved. So that's a lane you can't gank. Right here, good attempt. You need to be pinging a little more than that. You gotta be spam pinging sometimes. Right there. Yeah, that's pretty much just Fizz's fault right there. He did end up getting the kill anyway, so that's fine. But he was a little late to react to that gank anyway. So just shove the lane. Right here, just shove the lane. That actually wasn't a position to be frozen now that I see it. So this you could have just left it alone. Right there, like you just leave all this alone. Bad, very bad. If you just in this case it's a situation where you leave the lane alone. You don't touch it. You shoved the lane and you screwed your top laner. You denied him CS. And like right here, Shen, dude, Shen could have been denied so much CS. He could have been punished so hard because you didn't freeze the lane. He just TPs back to top and gets all this experience for free because you did that. And you're setting, so you just set Tom behind and you gave Shen a lead just by that decision right there. So you technically just ganked. You just ganked for Shen is what you technically just did. Look at that. Like that's another case. You're messing the minion weight up. That's another one. So we've already seen like 5 or 6 huge things that have led to the reason of this loss. Right here, you're wasting time again. That's a small little thing. And you could have been ganking mid because when at level 6, like I said earlier at the start of this, Fizz easy lane to gank. No reason to do blue at all. Aatrox to the middle of his lane, no reason to do blue. Just gank the lane. You guys would have won the 2v2 there. And see, you're already behind Italy at this point because all these, like, you had like 5 or 6 things that went wrong. So, this was a little tiny risk I mentioned about how Nidalee could have recalled earlier and you didn't have vision of her and she could have just, screwed you over in the jungle since your lanes weren't pushed or anything. And you wouldn't have had help from your team. I don't know what you're doing there. There's no we're wasting time. No reason to be here. You wasted a lot of time there. You can't defend anything. You're not going to do anything. What are you going to just leech XP? You should have recalled. So you've been low this entire time. If you had just backed a minute earlier, you would have been full HP and you would have been able to pressure them a little better. So I think we've reached the point where there's probably, I don't find the results after this to be very important because the game's kind of already lost at this point. Assuming they don't do massive throws, the game is lost. You already lost the game. They should be able to secure a lead. They should be able to secure this huge lead that they have and pull out the game. So, and if you in like future videos and stuff, if you'd like me to, like for games like this, if you want me to find you, like help you, like try and find your win conditions and stuff like that, I can explain that. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it at the mistakes you had made and the early game leading up to why they won this game. So now you should know why they won this game. You should see what you could have done better and what decision you should have done better and how you could have forced ganks instead of farming. And another thing about the Gromp future games, this Gromp, if you're planning on doing a full clear and getting like level 4 and then recalling, that's the only time you want to do the Gromp this early in the game. Otherwise, leave this thing alone, go do Scuttle or look for ganks. So, alright, that's about it. That's all I can really see at this time in this game. Oh, build. Alright, I noticed one little thing where you didn't back correctly, and like when you were over at Nidalee counter jungling her, instead of backing with your power spike, you had a power spike of getting your warriors. You had your tracker's knife and you had your warhammer, but you should have just backed and got your gold power spike there, and then looked for a lane to gank since you had your warriors at that point. That was just a small little thing where you're not abusing gold power spikes. You didn't have a lot of them this game because you were pretty behind. Nidalee doubled your gold. That's, that's crazy that she doubled your gold. So yeah. Alright. And that concludes this video.